Hello everyone, and welcome to the So Mindful podcast, where we dig into the tips and topics that will help you have great fun making clothes that make you feel fabulous. I'm your host, Jackie Blakemore of So Much More Fun, and I can't wait to share this week's illuminating episode with you. So let's roll the tape. Hello and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's episode of the So Mindful podcast. As you may have realised by now, a lot of different things influence my dressmaking, and as I explore them, I like to share those with you. Colour is one of those topics that has a number of different facets. In episode 29, I got a chance to explore one of those facets, which is the link between colour and energy, or chakras, with my good friend and energy expert, Sue Ricks. We talked about the Pantone's Colour of the Year for 2021, which was yellow, and the connection between yellow and our energy. If you haven't listened to that, then be sure to go back, as it was a great introduction and we had loads of lovely feedback and comments from people inspired to raid their wardrobes for yellow things to wear. So thank you to all of those of you who sent us messages, particularly Tina Hubert. What a great jumper. So this week we wanted to continue our mini series on colour and energy, and so I'm delighted to welcome Sue back. So welcome, Sue. For anyone who hasn't listened to our chat previously, can you just give a brief introduction to who you are and what you do?
Well, first of all, Jackie, thank you so much for inviting me to come back for another episode where we have a lovely chat about colour. So I'm fascinated by colour. I'm fascinated by the difference that it can make to us emotionally and energetically. And that's because I've been involved in the complementary and helping people world for over 30 years now. So I've been working with people one-to-one through therapy sessions, through reflexology, through Reiki, EFT, NLP, all kinds of lovely different things, in supporting people in individual one-to-one sessions, but also in courses and taking that across the world, because this really works and I love it. And when I was growing up, this type of world that I live in wasn't okay and it wasn't allowed. And now, people are really interested. So I feel very lucky to be talking to you. And as my mum was a very keen dressmaker, I'm absolutely delighted to be joining you on your fantastic one-to-one sessions that you do, your group sessions that you're doing with people. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I actually inherited from you one of your mum's dressmaking boxes, didn't I? Which is in my sewing room at the moment.
You did.
So, yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, lovely to be part of that. So we thought it might be helpful. So we had some great feedback, like we said, about the last episode that we did about yellow. And there are a number of other chakras that have colours related to them. And we thought it might be helpful to work our way through those chakras from the bottom to the top. To explore how each one relates to those colours and why you might want to incorporate those colours into your wardrobe designs or into your life. So Sue, can you just explain again what chakras are, just to give a context, and then we'll come back to that, which one we're going to focus on today.
So just as a brief introduction, the understanding and the knowledge about chakras is really helpful, because chakras actually affect each and every one of us, every moment of our lives. And a lot of us don't even know that they exist. So it's really great to know that they do exist. And chakra is a Sanskrit word that means wheel. So it's something that goes round. And so chakra is something which is where we connect energetically from the sort of emotional and energetic realms of the world and the universe and how we all tick into our own physical bodies. And there are 7 major chakras. There are more than that, but there are 7 major chakras. And that's what we thought we would focus on now, about, what is a chakra? In other words, it is a wheel. And I actually describe it not just as a wheel, but as like a vortex. So it's like a funnel. And it helps us to be able to give and receive. So, that sort of intangible thing where, maybe you've walked into a room and you've gone, oh, I'm not so sure about the feeling of the room. The chances are that the people who've been in the room before have given off through one of their funnels, through their chakras, have given off some energy into the room, and that's what you're sensing. And so the actual understanding about chakras makes it easier to understand ourselves but also other people, and things that we can do for ourselves and for other people. And that understanding makes life so much easier, because actually it's quite simple.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great summary, and like you say, we sense it whether we realize it or not, don't we, when we are kind of interacting with each other and different environments. So yeah, really helpful.
Well, I think the other thing to remember is that we actually feel our chakras without knowing that we're feeling them. So I remember years ago, before I understood more in a sort of a mental way of actually understanding, cognitive processing way of understanding chakras, I was able to reflect back into my earlier life and realize that I'd had a horrible sort of knot feeling sort of here at the bottom of my breastbone. And it was a sort of knotty feeling. It was a painful feeling. It was an uncomfortable feeling. And I didn't know that was anything to do with chakras. I thought that sorry, that's my phone just pinging up. I wonder how I sort that one out. So I didn't realize that it was something that was related to a chakra. And that by understanding the chakras, we can actually make our own physical bodies feel physically better. And that's another blessing as well.
Yeah. So we thought it'd be really good. That leads me into where we wanted to start today. So we were going to start, as we said, from the bottom up. So let's start with the first of the chakras that we would normally come across, and that is the base or root chakra. Is that right?
Yeah, the base or the root chakra is, well, if we think about the fact that there are 7, and we start at the base one. The base one it's located in between your legs. It's like a sort of a cone that goes down into the earth, into the planet, from in between your legs. And then there are 6 more that go up. So you can see from a chakra chart that those 7, they're almost like when we're all in balance, they're equal. But as we're going to focus on the base one today, you'll see that I'm wearing red and you're wearing red today, and I've got my red wallpaper up on the wall. So they've all got links to colours, and so the base chakra, the root chakra, is the colour is the colour tone, the Pantone, the range of reds, of which that's a huge range of reds. So on my dress here, there's a pale one here, and then there's another one there, and then there's a different one here, and different one here, and different on my glasses, and on my lipstick, and on the wallpaper. So the reds is a very broad spectrum, and the base chakra relates to red. But the base chakra is a very, very important one because it's the one that makes us feel safe.
Yeah, so I think when I was doing my reflexology, it was one of those ones that we, like you say, it's kind of like that. The root is a good word for it, isn't it? Because it is sort of your roots down and sort of going down into the ground. And for me, whenever I'm sort of feeling a bit too much in my head, that's one of the times when I think that's when I start to think about that particular, refocusing in that area and connecting with that. So what, just kind of coming on to that, what might we be experiencing, or what symptoms might we have if we are either sort of lacking in energy in that area, or if we are feeling a bit depleted in that area? How might that show itself?
I think understanding more about the base chakra, the root chakra, is really helpful to all of us, because it helps us to have something to understand if we're not feeling quite right. That might be not feeling physically right, or not feeling emotionally right, or not feeling energetically right if you're into energy, because it's really, really important to have balance. We talk about having a balanced life and a balanced lifestyle, and how many of us achieve that every day. So understanding about using and connecting in and enhancing things that you can do with the base chakra helps us to feel, it helps us to feel safer, more secure. It helps us to deal with the practicalities of our life. It helps us to be in a place where we can make decisions, where we can problem solve for ourselves. But physically, it relates to so many things. So, menstrual issues, maybe having a problem going to the toilet in some way, digestive, like things like constipation, or having, maybe your stools aren't in very good order and it's not really too nice, or it's a bit smelly, or whatever. Maybe you've got hip problems or knee problems or circulation, or you're struggling with cramp. That's another one. Maybe issues with your feet. It's anything basically from the lower pelvis down. So those areas all connect into your base chakra, and they're fed by the energy and the purity of the base chakra in balance. And I was talking with somebody yesterday, because we talk about balance. So, you know, it's actually in balancing of like some scales. If you imagine you've got some scales, are they equally balanced? And I was talking with somebody yesterday who's been having a lot of migraines. Well, migraines aren't experienced lower down. They're not around your pelvic area. You experience migraines up here. But that's where the whole balance thing comes in, because when you can balance yourself, you can actually also help to balance out the problems that happen up here. So migraines is another one, headaches, you know, visual disturbances, mental overwhelm, feeling panicky, anxious, depression, you know, even like ringing in your ears, you know, just a tight scalp. All of those different things can also be balanced out by helping to boost and support and balance life through the higher chakras is your crown chakra, and the lower chakras is your base chakra. So, and that's why I love understanding about energy and chakras and helping people to understand more, because it's really easy but not always obvious. So it's everything in the lower pelvic area and down. So all of your legs, your knees, your hips, your ankles, and you know, just general mobility in your flexibility in your pelvis. But it's also the higher things as well. There was another one that happened some weeks ago where a lady started to develop some rather nasty alopecia. And alopecia is when you can lose your hair, and it can be just a little bit of losing hair, or it can be coming out in clumps. And she'd been through a very stressful time and was hugely stressed to find that not only was she going through a stressful time, she was also starting to lose clumps of hair. And when I was explaining to her that if we can help her to achieve a balance, by helping to boost up her, you know, her security and her problem solving and her security things that are all base chakra and pointing to the red colour, if we could help her to enhance that, we would help with the issues that are happening up here, which is losing her hair and her mental overwhelm. So it's a lovely system, and it's beautifully finely balanced. And when you can find the fine balance, life is so much more lovely.
Definitely. So that sounds fabulous, but where would people kind of get started? So you talked about, you know, finding balance. What steps could people take to make a start on that? So how might they improve their feelings of security or their problem solving? What tips would you have on that?
I could answer that in so many different ways. I'll talk through just a few of them, and you know, this is what I do when I'm working with people and work to one, is it's really important to get somebody who will support you, or a system that will support you, because everybody's unique. So I'm going to go through some general things that work generally, but if you really want to get some help, find somebody who can support and mentor you, and you can find some things. And I run something called the Surix Academy, and that's what I'm always saying is, you know, these are tools and things that will help you. Always remember to get one-to-one support if you need that support. If you need help, please reach out for help. So some basic things that people can do. One is wearing some colour of red. And actually, it doesn't really matter where you wear the red, but obviously it further enhanced it if you're wearing red and you're wearing it in your pelvic regions. So that could be, you know, a pair of slacks, a pair of pants, a skirt, a dress, or it could be something, you know, which is something that you introduce, like a scarf or accessories. One of the things that is really great, which is wonderful for you, Jackie, because I've seen some of the things that you've made, is even like a handbag. Because a handbag, you know, it comes right down and hangs over your pelvic area. So and as I was putting my makeup on today, I was thinking about it, because you very beautifully made my makeup bag that I was using today, and thinking about the great bags that you've made and how, you know, you make things that work so well for people in colour. So you can choose clothes that will help. So if you're, you know, if somebody's feeling a bit out of balance, they're not feeling very secure, they're struggling with the practicalities of life, or they've got pain or discomfort or lack of mobility, then obviously reds is a great thing to be wearing in that area, or generally, or your wallpaper or some beautiful flowers in your home. Anything like that, jewelry that you're thinking of wearing, you can bring that sort of colour in on that level. You can also I started out in healing and reflexology, just very simply just doing a little bit of a massage across the bottom of your hand, because your hand, this is the top chakras, the crown chakra, and this is the base chakra. So you can just do some nice gentle massage. I practice and teach gentle touch reflexology, so no prodding and poking, but some general massage over your hand. That's a nice technique that you can do as well. I do a lot of teaching in America, and I often teach people a technique to help themselves to be a bit more grounded, which is if you feel yourself going up a bit, in that sort of whole energy going up, to bring yourself down, you can literally just like squeeze your bum, or in America, sorry, squeeze your butt. So squeeze your butt, squeeze your bum, and that helps to bring your energy down. So just doing some simple things like just a little bit of a stay in, stay down. It's a phrase I use a tremendous amount, right? And use it, and bringing in the colour and that sort of thing will make a difference. A very simple massage around the bottom of your hand can also help to just bring everything down and help you to feel more able to support yourself, because that's what it's all about. If you need help, you need to go out, but sometimes you can help yourself. And I don't think we're always taught that at school, are we? We don't always get that knowledge, when we're little, about, how do you deal with life? It isn't always easy. And if you want to do something, yours is about doing some marvelous things with sewing. And I don't know, how and the people are watching this, but I know with some of my sewing projects, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it, but I don't do it. So it's actually when I concentrate on myself, and one of the phrases that I use a lot is energy follows thought. When I can think about, so where is my energy? Is it up here or is it down here? Who asked that question? We don't even think about it, but when you stop to think now, where is your energy? Is it all like up here, or is it and it's that energy that's down and safe and calm, and you can sort of like do a roll around in your pelvis and it's like, oh, that's nice, and just sort of settle in, and then enhance yourself with all sorts of different ranges, of reds. It doesn't even need to be red. It could be a hint of red. I've got some perfume here, right? So this is orange, which is the next chakra up, which is the sacral one. Still got red in it. So you can bring things in all sorts of different ways. You can use spritzers that have got coloured oils and things in. Loads of stuff that you can do. You can be really creative, and it so works.
Yeah, and as you said, I think in the last one we talked about, even doesn't even need to be visible to anyone else. If red's quite a strong colour, isn't it? So sometimes people might think they can't. I often hear people say, oh, I can't wear red, or those kind of things. But I think even just a pair of socks or underwear, or something that's close to your skin as well, can make a difference, can't it? The kind of having that colour just present that you're aware of. And I think just picking up on what you were saying about kind of having your energy down, I was just watching your body language as well as you were doing that. And for people who are just kind of listening on the podcast, even if you think about it yourself, sort of the difference between your shoulders being up around your ears, for example, and breathing out and relaxing and your shoulders going down, it's really that sort of, that's the feeling that you're trying to get, isn't it? Is that sort of relaxed and as you say, focusing. I think you taught me as well about, if you're struggling to work out how to focus on that, just think about the chair you're sitting on and your feet on the ground, and feel the chair through your bottom and through your legs, and that is just directing you that way, isn't it?
It is. And there's a great, when I learned all my NLP stuff, I realized that one of the important things is to ask yourself the right questions. So a very simple question to ask yourself is, am I sitting down? Because you could say, I'm sitting down, but your brain deletes that. Whereas if you go, am I sitting down? Your brain goes in and goes, I don't know, let's check.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I am sitting down. Can you feel the chair underneath your bottom? Yeah, are you aware of the fact your feet are on the floor? And those very simple things can really give you a chance to stop, because your brain's racing trying to take care of yourself. So, you know, these really simple things can be, and like you say, nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know whether you've said, am I sitting down? Nobody needs to know, have you said, oh, I just squeeze my bum. Can I feel my bum? Nobody needs to know if you're wearing lingerie that's most beautiful, you know, pinks or reds, or you've got some, you know, some funky shorts on or whatever. Nobody needs to know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a subtle, and it's for you, rather than, you know, rather than having to be anything that you have to broadcast or anything to anyone else. So yeah. So we talked about as well when we were discussing this topic, and we were saying about other ways that you can use that and other things that are associated with the color red. So one of the things that you mentioned was around power dressing. So can you share a bit more about that?
Yeah, I remember years ago when this is a very, very long time ago, when I worked in a government office. And there was a lady who was one of the higher echelons. And when we came in to have our meetings, I always noticed what she was wearing, because she generally wore a grey or a navy or a black suit and a white or a cream shirt. That was her uniform. We didn't have to wear uniforms. That was generally what she wore to work every day. But I spotted that if she ever came into work wearing a bright red, it was in the days of shoulder pads. Do you remember all the big shoulder pads? Yeah. So when she used to come in looking a little bit more like an aeroplane, as if she was going to take off from her shoulders, and it was bright red, I knew that we were in for, okay, I need to deliver some tough news. And that was her power dressing strong red. You can wear, you know, the whole power dressing thing is absolutely fine, because if you want to have energy and you want to have power, absolutely, you want to have energy and you want to have power. When we talk about reds, and this is where I talk about the yin and the yang of reds, is there's a lot to do with, and particularly when you're thinking about soft furnishings as well as dressing, is that the yin is the sort of soft and fluffy, and the yang is the sort of hard and bright and shiny. And it's good to have a bit of a balance, and that's why the yin yang symbol, you know, is that ball with the, you know, the either side, the black and the white. And it's good to have a balance of different types of reds that you can wear. So one of the reasons I love this shirt is because it's so soft. And I like, you know, really, really soft and cuddly things. I'm just looking behind you. There's something that's a beautiful pink, and it's soft and fluffy and cuddly. So it's very nurturing, and it's very, very grounding. And so you can use it. So if you think, actually, I want to feel powerful and I want to have the confidence to deliver this message to whoever today, you know, it could be to your children or your partner or to a boss or whatever. See if you can feed yourself with the types of reds that you like. Everybody likes different reds. It doesn't matter. There's no rights or wrongs. It's what do you like? Because those reds that you like will feed and nurture you as opposed to somebody else. So then you can use those reds and you know, wear them. You can wear them visibly, like the lady wore the jacket. I'm wearing them visibly today. It could be why wearing it subtly, you know, with clothes underneath, or a t-shirt or a vest or lingerie or whatever that people can't see. Or it may be even, you know, some perfume that came out of a coloured box, because that is, you know, it's still a colour energy that's around you. And you can also think about eating beforehand. You can think about eating red foods, so things like, you know, tomatoes, or maybe you'd have, you know, like a roasted vegetable salad, or something that's got some reds in it as well, just to give you that little bit of an extra support to be able to bring that in for yourself. Nobody needs to know. It's private. You can do it, and you can do it, obviously, you can do it privately, and that's why it's easy.
Yeah, and a couple of really interesting things that I hadn't really thought about that you brought up there. So the polonette that you're wearing is like a soft jersey fabric, and but it's actually in quite a strong red color, isn't it? So it is that, like, when you were talking about the yin and the yang, it's the softness of the actual touch of the fabric, but the strength of the color. And equally, you could do that the other way around. You could have quite a structured fabric in more of a muted, softer red, and you would still get that same, you get those
Yeah.
two same elements, wouldn't you? So again,
And
something else to think about in terms of even choosing, you know, and like you say, shiny red bag versus a more matte red bag, or, you know, all
yeah,
those kind of
yeah.
decisions that you can bring into it.
And you can also be planning your wardrobe around what you think you're going to need that day, and then you go to put it on and go, actually, I don't need that colour,
Yeah.
because there's actually a different. We talked last time in our session about the yellows, and one of the things about yellows is your creativity. Yeah, so you might go, I need power, or I need to nurture myself. And I was telling you before we started this session, I've had 3 really beautiful, really busy days. And we happen to be here talking about, you know, energy and chakras and the root chakra. And so I mentally might have gone, oh, I'm going to wear red because I'm going to talk about that. The reason I'm actually wearing red is because I've had 3 really busy days, and I want to nurture myself by being just nurturing myself. And I love the softness of this. I love the flowers of this. I love the fun of it. You know, I love these red glasses. So I'm nurturing myself by wearing this, not because mentally it's the chakra day and I need to be wearing red, because I could have changed it to wear any color, because I'm just talking about all of the chakras today. So just because you've decided you're going to wear a color doesn't mean you have to wear the color. It's listen to your inner sense. And when you put something on and go, oh, I like this, or it's not right, because your inner sense is checking what it is that you need in the rainbow of color that is the chakras.
And I think you mentioned to me as well that red can be helpful for the sort of moving forward and getting things done. I think we talked about that, didn't we? Because I spotted that on the days when I'm perhaps a bit behind maybe in what I wanted to get finished, I do find that if I have like a red sort of capelet thing that I have that keeps me warm, but it's also red, and I do tend to put that on when I want to, you know, I've got a list of things, I want to get through them, and I want to be able to focus. And I think you'd mentioned that that's also a kind of one of the strengths of the red color.
And I think that's a really useful thing to spot in yourself. And certainly, you know, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I've realized that it's the really subtle stuff that's not that easy to spot, but actually is really easy, that makes the biggest difference. So, you know, it's these little tiny little adjustments in life that make such a difference. And, you know, if you are mentally overwhelmed, and so your energy's up here and you're like, ooh, all those things that are going on, or tick lists or whatever, just really, you know, simply going, oh, hang on a minute, how could I nurture myself through my base chakra? Because I want to achieve things, I want to get things done. There's some very practical steps, very much to-dos that I want to do, and they are involving action. And this is your activity zone. You know, your pelvic area is your activity zone. It's almost like you've got your sort of, you know, your intention areas, and you think about it and you activate it. And then you've got your love and your heart, you know, you do it through the love of whatever. And then you lower down, you've got the right, let's go on and let's get it done. Yeah. So, you know, those I call it the activity zone. You can, in, you know, some of the esoterical things, it's called your hara. I like to think of it in terms of, you know, let's set an intention, let's love, and let's go. And that because this is, this is where you let go. You know, everybody goes to the bathroom every day, you do let go. But it's let go of all the things that have held you back, and let's go. Yeah. And then sometimes it's just stop and just sit and just be quiet and be still and be soft. And it's that lovely flow. That's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, definitely. And that flow sort of brings me on to one of the other areas that you talked about, which was around, so when we were talking about the different body areas that are influenced by the, you know, the root chakra and the red, one of the things that you talked about was circulation. So can you just share a bit more around that?
The reason why the circulation is linked to many of the chakras. You know, your heart is the pump of your circulation, so that's linked into the heart chakra, and that's linked into the color green, and we'll do that on another session. But blood which carries, your oxygen and everything around your body and all the healing things that happened in your blood, that is red. And so that is very much linked into the base chakra, and we need good quality circulation moving through all of your pelvis, and that's involved in things like reproduction. It's making sure that you've got good quality blood flow to your hips, good quality to your knees, so that you can run and you can walk and you've got flexibility. So it's the circulation all the way through, from your heart all the way through your legs and back up to your heart. When we've got gravity, that's quite a big job to do, and circulation is so important. But then we've also got the feminine aspects of blood and menstruation as well. So we want that to work in a harmonious way, and that's linked into the base chakra as well as to the sacral chakra. So if we want to feel in harmony with life, whether that's circulation, whether it's like talking about blood disorders, whether it's talking about menstruation, whether it's even talking about the menopause, ideally focusing a little bit on the practical and the grounding. And as we move through the chakras, we'll understand more about how they all have a beautiful flow and a balance through them all, which just works just magically. When you have that love and support of yourself, when you can do it in a sort of feeling way and a sensing way, but also in a bit of a planned way of what would help me now, we get a nice balance and a nice way to be able to boost us through the circulation, and to be able to circulate and not be stagnant, because we want flow. And sometimes we can feel a bit stagnant in life, and people say it all the time, don't they? I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And so we can use, feeding and nurturing ourselves through the base chakra to relieve feelings of stuckness. And when we want to achieve that flow, we can bring in some more gentle reds, or just some movements through your hips, checking in, am I sitting down, not just sort of sitting solid, but keeping a little bit of a wriggle and a movement, and squeeze your bum and let go. And it's lovely.
Yeah. And so if you've got you've obviously worked with lots of people, and in lots of different ways, but have you got any examples of where you have, maybe this has come up, somebody's had a situation where you've been able to recommend using red in a particular way, or using, kind of relating around the base chakra?
One of the funniest ones, which was absolutely wonderful, was a businessman who was coming to see me, and he said that he and his wife wore black. And that's what we do. We wear black, and it makes it easy when we go shopping. So it's very practical. It makes it easy when we go shopping. We wear black, and our house is white and grey. So the gentleman was always wearing black, and his wife wore black because it was easier, and shopping in their house was, black and white. And I talked to him about it because he was experiencing a lot of anxiety. And the anxiety he was experiencing meant that he felt like this. And I think we've all met, and we've all had times ourselves when we've gone, and you're in, that tension and lockdown. And I was talking to him about things that he might be able to do. And I talked to him about, possibly wearing some different colour. And he didn't have to wear a corporate tie. So he always wore a tie when he went to work. And I asked him whether he'd be able to wear a tie that had got any earth tones in it, because I didn't want to say a red tie or a pink tie or anything. I just asked him if there were any sort of earth tones. And that was really fascinating, because he didn't know what earth tones were. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. Why would you know what earth tones are? So I said to him, when you think about the earth, what colours do you think of? And he was like, I don't know. So I said, well, what's in your garden? And he was like, well, I've got soil in the garden. So what colour's the soil? So he then said, the soil is brown. So I said, do you have a tie that could be brown? I had to let him lead it to find out what the earth tones were, to try to find out where the link with red was. And then he was talking about a problem he'd got with his pond, because he was digging a pond out, and he was taking the soil off, and underneath he'd got to hard clay, and he was now stuck with the hard clay. So I said to him, what colour is the hard clay? And he said it's a sort of an orangey colour. And he said, but what I want to put koi carp in it. And I was like, what colour are koi carp? And he got oranges and reds. And I was like, hey, we've actually got access now. In your head, you've done it, not me. We've got to some reds. So I said, what could you do to bring the colours of the koi carp that you love into your life? I said, could you put a picture of koi carp in your breast pocket on your jacket? Could you have it, in your pocket? Could you put something in your wallet? It was revolutionary, and he started having fun looking for koi carp colours in things around him. So he went out and bought some boxer shorts that had actually got koi carp on. So he got some koi carp underwear. His wife got lots of oranges and soft colours that she liked. He decided that their bedroom was boring and bland, so they redecorated the bedroom. And then he absolutely floored me because he arrived in a brand new red Mercedes. So I was absolutely shocked, but he did it because nobody else can choose things for you. Only you can do, only you can do it for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And so if anybody needed an excuse to go and get a red Mercedes, then obviously you can totally use this podcast as your justification.
I love that. I think it's time to get some car sponsorship involved, Jackie.
Exactly, yeah. I need to get some advertisers on here, don't I? And some discounts for you all. Fabulous. So yeah, I mean that's such a lovely story as to how like you say, not just even an awareness, raising an awareness of it can start to introduce it. And I think we talked about something similar with kind of in the last podcast, didn't we, about just being open to letting a little bit of colour in can then just open the floodgates almost to make a difference.
And it's important to keep it fun and light-hearted. I didn't know where that conversation was going, and we ended up with koi carp.
Yeah. And who knew there was a whole range of koi carp underwear? That's a whole revelation to me. It's quite a specialist, that is, isn't it? Hilarious.
Yeah.
So the last thing, kind of, there's a couple more things that were on my kind of checklist to chat with you about. So one aspect was around and again, it kind of talking about cars led me to think about it as well, but some people have an association of red with being quite an aggressive color. So and I was thinking about it in terms of car drivers, because they get a bit of a bad reputation, don't they, in some areas. But yeah, so can you speak to that a little bit around this kind of association of red with I kind of think of it as passion, but again there are obviously two sides to every coin, aren't there?
There are, and that's the great thing. It's it's not all red is an aggressive color. Red's a color.
Yes.
It's a vibration. Yeah. I think the aggressive thing comes up because there is that phrase of "I saw red," and when people say "I saw red," that's a very different energy. That's a Kundalini energy. It's a very different thing. And people can have. I was talking with somebody a few months ago who was talking of as a child used to get incredibly angry and used to get what they called the red mist. And then they would flare and be very aggressive, and that's when you've not been able to be who you really are and find ways to be able to express yourself authentically. So the red roars up, but red can be, as we've said all the way through this, red can be used really beautifully in a way, and nobody can tell you what it is what it is and how you must work. Everybody has to do what's right for them. So yes, red can be aggressive, but just to say all red is aggressive, no, it's not. There's a real power behind the power of red. And if you've learned as a child, I can't wear red because it's aggressive, you're losing out on a way of supporting yourself and being able to wear the most beautiful things. We've all seen not we've all seen, but a lot of people have seen Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
And she wears that most beautiful red dress and she looks absolutely amazing. It's not an aggressive thing, but if you've learned a pattern from childhood that red is aggressive, it might be difficult for you to use red to support and nurture yourself, because if you are feeling passionate, Valentine's Day, red's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a passionate color, it's a productive color, it's a productive way of accessing yourself. It's a way of helping just to go, ooh, actually, what is it I need to do? It's a wonderful colour for using when you want to use it, for having it when you want to have it, for having it around you when you want to have it around you. It's wonderful. And it's about flow.
Yeah. And so I think that is the kind of aspect of it, is just starting to really pay more attention to how you feel around that, and how you feel about yourself, and when those things come up for you. I think just being open to be aware of it and experiment with it, I think is really valuable, because as you said, we're all different, aren't we? And each of us will react differently in different situations. So the last thing that I just wanted to pick up on was around foot reading. And so we talked about red in the context of foot reading. So some people, many people won't be really familiar with that. And this is a sewing podcast, so it's quite a strange thing to talk about. But you know me, I'm always up for bringing new ideas into that might influence your sewing. But yeah, so can you just explain a little bit about what foot reading is and how red plays a part in that?
Well, the foot reading it's a concept that a lot of people haven't even thought of, and it's just such a really amazing thing, because you can see how people are feeling through the colours in their feet. And what I mean that is, if you imagine that you were sitting down and you put your foot up in front of a mirror and you had to look at your feet, some people's feet would look, white, some people's feet would look yellowy, some people's feet would look proper filthy. And some people's feet would be a mass of different colours, and some people's feet would be red. And red in foot reading, and on the foot reading chart, you can see that red relates to feeling angry or embarrassed. Right now, it's red relates in your feet to you're angry. It means that you might have an element of, not coping as well as I'd like to, and I wish I was coping better, and feeling a bit embarrassed that you're perhaps running out of energy, or you've got too much to do, or you're overwhelmed, or why did I say I'd do this job, or I've got 5 children and I don't know how to deal with that, or I've got 1 child and I don't know how to deal with it. So foot reading is a really great thing. So you can check how you're doing by just literally looking at your own. And when I wrote the fantastic feet book about foot reading and hand reading, I don't think I realised how much I wanted to write it for people, because it's something I believe in it, but I didn't think it would have so much of an impact on people of going, no, I'm actually looking at my feet. And if we can check in with ourselves and look at our feet, we can actually find out how we're doing. So when I was getting divorced many, many years ago, I thought I was doing really well. And I was teaching foot reading, and I'd shown them, this group, on a Sunday, I'd shown them my feet, and they were doing okay. And then the following Sunday, I looked at my feet when I was teaching the following Sunday, and my feet were bright red, but they weren't the week before. So I'm like, my circumstances are the same, what's changed? And I realised that the letter that I'd had, which was a legal letter that I'd had on the Thursday, which I thought I'd gone, okay, I've got to sort that out. But it made me proper mad because it was something I hadn't foreseen that I needed to do and to understand. And I hadn't recognised I needed to understand it. So I was embarrassed and I was angry. I was embarrassed with myself that I didn't know and I didn't understand. Right? And I was angry that I'd got myself in this situation and I hadn't been proactive in a way that I could have been, that would have helped and supported us all. So it was fascinating, because one Sunday they weren't red, the next Sunday they were red, and then I was able to go, oh, I understand why. What else can I do? Because I thought I'd dealt with that fine, but it had had an impact on me. So I went to see an acupuncturist and helped to be able to diffuse some of that energy. And that's what I'm always recommending to people is, don't look to be, perfect and do it on your own. Sometimes you can go and get some help. Sometimes you can get it from a website or a book or a podcast, right? Or you can work one-to-one with somebody, or you can just actually do it by very simple things like changing your clothes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that is a fascinating topic. And if you want to find out more, then, we'll get some details off Sue in a second about where you can find that. But I do think they're just other, tools and ideas that you can use just to gauge where you are and check in with yourself. I think anything like that is really helpful. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's
a pleasure.
It's a great teaser, and I'm sure people will go off and start Googling that as soon as we're finished. But for anyone that wants to find out more in terms of about what you do, Sue, and how they might, if they were interested in kind of finding out more about any of the things we've spoken about today, just tell us a little bit more about how they can reach you.
I've got a website, which is suericks.com, which has got my training courses on and how I do my one-to-ones. And it's where all my books and my training DVDs are. And then I've also got the Sue Ricks Academy, so that's suericksacademy.com, which is a membership site where I've got 30 something years of training, a bit like podcasts, but they're training videos and sessions. And I also run lives through that where you can come on and ask me questions. So that's suericks.com and Sue Ricks Academy, or you can email me office@suericks.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And so we've got a plan to cover some more of the chakras over the next, in the future.
Yes.
And the next one that we'll be doing will be we'll be covering orange, I think, isn't it? So
yeah, we're going to go sacral chakra, which is orange. So we have already talked about the solar plexus, which is the next one up, which is the yellows. We'll later on be coming to heart, which is green, and then we'll be moving through the blues and the indigos as we move up through throat and brow and up into the high chakras.
Yeah, brilliant. So hopefully everyone's found this useful and it's inspired you. I'm looking forward to now all the little messages of you all with your little red outfits on and things like that. I'm wearing my red dress today, and Sue's obviously got her red outfit on as well. So
buy yourself some flowers.
That's right, buy yourself some red flowers. Yeah, or a red cake, whatever it is that you fancy. But yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you today, Sue, as always, and lots of really interesting insights. So thank you very much for taking the time, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Wonderful. Thanks ever so much, Jackie. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. And finally, if you have a question, feedback, or a topic you'd like me to investigate, then you can also email me at hello@somuchmorefun.co.uk. So until next time, stay gorgeous and have so much more fun.